The desert is the first biome we will explore. Usually there is little rain with most of it coming in the fall and winter. Temperatures soar to 100 degrees and above. It can drop to as little as 25 degrees. Because of the arid conditions, there are no lush plants and little vegetation. In our model, there are only cacti and dead bushes. Some common animals found in the desert are camels and snakes. Deserts swing from extremely hot during the day to extremely cold in the nights. In cold deserts, it will snow during the winters, but all deserts are extremely hot during the summer.
The rainforest is an incredibly humid and moist environment. Its temperature ranges from 20 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius and does not freeze over at any point in the year. There's a lot of moisture held in the air because of the incredibly high temperatures here. As such, there is lots of rainfall per year, and in a bad year there is 2,000 millimeters of rain. To compare, California only gets about 500 millimeters of rain a year. Usually, rainforests are located near the equator between the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. Rainforests are separated into two categories, temperate and tropical. Tropical rainforests are closer to the equator and generally are warmer and more humid. Temperate rainforests are further from the equator. As for vegetation, the rainforest is made up of mostly of very tall trees that cover the land and smaller trees and vines below them. The vines and smaller trees do not get much sunlight because the taller trees spread out very wide and absorb most of it. In rainforests, there are frogs, monkeys, anacondas, and tarantulas. These are only a few of the many organisms that call the rainforest their home. Tropical rainforests have the highest biodiversity out of any biome in the world.
The taiga is the world's largest land biome. It stretches across North America, Europe, and Asia. It is known as a coniferous or boreal forest. It typically has short, wet summers and long, cold winters. There is moderate precipitation. The taiga gets lots of snow during the winter and plenty of rainfall in the summer. The taiga is located below the tundra biome. The taiga does not have lots of variety in plants, most being conifer trees, which remain green all year and do not drop their leaves. This is because evergreen trees do not drop their leaves, so there's nothing to keep the soil and the taiga full of nutrients, so it is hard for other vegetation to grow. Fires are also very common in the taiga biome. These fires are necessary and helpful to the taiga as they rid the area of dead, old, and sick trees. For half of the year, the temperature in the taiga biome is below freezing. There are not many animals in the taiga, but it does inhabit millions of insects. Because of this, birds migrate there to feed off of insects every year. Of the animals that do live there, many of them migrate to warmer areas or hibernate during the long, cold winters. Animals in the taiga also have lots of specialized adaptations such as thick fur or feathers and the ability to change colors between the different seasons.
The tundra is the coldest of all biomes. There are extremely low temperatures year-round and very little precipitation. The soil is not very nutritious, which is why there isn't much vegetation. There are two different types of tundras, Arctic tundras and alpine tundras. The tundra shown here is an Arctic tundra. Arctic tundras are located in the northern hemisphere and has a cold desert-like condition. The growing seasons are short, ranging from 50 to 60 days. The average temperature during the winter is negative 34 degrees Celsius, but during the summer, it heats up 3 to 12 degrees Celsius, which is what allows the biome to sustain life. The yearly precipitation, including snow, is low at 15 to 25 centimeters. In addition, there's a subsoil layer called permafrost, which is permanently frozen and consists of mostly gravel and other finer materials. There are no deep root systems for vegetation in the Arctic tundra because of the permafrost. However, there are many plants that are able to resist the harsh climates due to natural selection. The plants have adapted to harsh wind and disturbances to the soil. They carry out photosynthesis even at low light and low temperatures. The animals in the tundra, just like the plains, are adapted to handle the long, cold winters and are able to breed and raise young quickly in the summer. The mammals have additional insulation from fat and hibernate during the winter because of the lack of food sources.
Savannas are incredibly abundant in Africa as it spans across a continent, engulfing almost half the landmass. Savannas exist in primarily Africa, but they also do in India and northern Australia, which are two places that are also near the equator. Because these locations are near the equator, the climate is hot. However, there is a wet and dry season, so humidity varies. Its temperature is usually high and as such has a decent annual rainfall of around 20 to 50 inches. Compared to rainforests, this is much less. The rain here is seasonal, with seasons full of drought and dryness occurring before any rain falls. There is not much vegetation in savannas, with most of it being small plants and bushes. This is due to the poor soil quality due to the lack of water in seasons. Additionally, there are many fires year-round due to the dry climate. These fires can restart plant growth cycles by essentially clearing the dead land on top and letting it self-renew. In this biome, animals such as the kangaroo, zebra, and lions exist. There are also smaller animals such as mice and gophers who live in the dead grass that is abundant in the savanna.
Grasslands are lands that mainly consist of grasses rather than large trees. This grassland we are showing here is a temperate grassland. Temperatures in temperate grasslands vary from summer to winter, and compared to savannas, there is less precipitation. The summers are hot and the winters are cold, while rainfall is moderate. The amount of rainfall greatly influences the height of the vegetation, of course with taller grasses in the wetter regions. Because of this, the height varies from year to year. Precipitation in these grasslands happens during the early summer and late spring. The average annual rainfall is about 50 to 90 centimeters, and the temperature range is very large over the course of the year, from well over 38 degrees Celsius in the summer and as low as negative 40 degrees Celsius in the winter. In grasslands, seasonal drought as well as moderate fires are crucial to biodiversity. The soil in temperate grasslands is very fertile, deep, and dark. The decay of deep roots has led to the soil being extremely nutrient-rich. The decomposing roots hold the soil together to reduce soil erosion and even provide a food source for the currently living plants. Furthermore, grazing by animals in addition to the forest fires and droughts prevents large trees and shrubs from invading. However, it is still possible, yet rare, for certain trees to grow in places like river valleys. Many flowers grow among the grasses.
Wetland biomes have bodies of water that stand still. This means that wetlands are normally near streams, rivers, or lakes, and often provide this area with plant matter that feeds the fish. A characteristic of all wetlands is that the water level varies throughout the year. Wetlands are always associated with the land because they are a barrier between the land and water. Wetlands serve as a reservoir for excessive rainfall to prevent flooding. The wetland biome is overlooked a lot because it is found inside other biomes. Wetlands can be made of freshwater, saltwater, or anywhere in between. They are also normally humid throughout the entire year, making it a perfect habitat for animals. There is more plant-animal diversity in the wetland biome than in any other biome. Although there's a lot of diversity, it can mostly consist of amphibians, birds, and many different types of insects. Wetlands also serve as a filter that cleans surface water. A swamp is a wetland that contains trees like a forest. Some wetlands are seasonal, meaning they form in the fall and winter, but then they are completely dry in the summers. Wetlands are also responsible for keeping rivers at a normal level, since they hold water, then release it to the river as needed.
The ocean biome is the largest biome in the world, covering about 70% of the Earth. It consists of 5 main oceans: the Pacific, Atlantic, Southern, Arctic, and Indian. The ocean has 3 vertical zones. The first layer is known as the euphotic zone, where light can penetrate. There are a lot of phytoplankton, and most of the vegetation is in this zone because of this. The next zone is the dysphotic zone, where it is too deep for lots of light to reach. The deepest and last zone is called the aphotic zone. The water here is much colder compared to the rest of the ocean, and it is completely dark. There's a very low amount of nutritional content. This zone is the largest of the 3, so large in fact that it comprises of 80% of all the habitats on the Earth.
For our final biome, we will be visiting the Nether. As you can see here, these are the indigenous species of zombie pigmen in their natural habitat in the blazing fire. It's really hot here. There is no rainfall, and the temperatures soar above 7,000 degrees Celsius.
Bust down, bust it, bust down on the gang. Bust down, Tatiana. I wanna see you bust down. Pick it up, now break that down. Speed it up, now slow that down on the gang. Slow it down, bust it, bust down, bust down on the gang. Blue face, baby. Yeah, I'm every woman's fantasy. Mama always told me I was gonna break hearts. I guess it's her fault, stupid. Don't be mad at me. I wanna see you bust down.